attention. They've only in their last 9 league games, which sounds excellent, but 4 of their last 5 have finished level. Last weekend was perhaps the most frustrating of the lot. Ayase Ueda scoring early away to NEC. Feyenoord leading deep into stoppage time and then conceding in the 97th minute. That result only added to a growing sense of frustration around a side that have struggled to turn control into wins. FC Groningen arrive with a very different mood. Dick Lukian's side are unbeaten in 5. They've won 3 of those, and perhaps most impressively, they've conceded just twice during that run. Victories over Ajax and Alkmaar have raised genuine hopes of sneaking into a Conference League playoff spot. They begin the afternoon just 2 points behind SC Heerenveen. The challenge, though, is history. Groningen haven't beaten Feyenoord since 2019. They haven't won here at the Kuip since 2007. Nearly 20 years of frustration in Rotterdam. And that's the record they're trying to break this afternoon. Well, as the teams make their way out into the mid-afternoon Rotterdam sun, a baking day here in the Netherlands. The songs ringing out around this famous ground as they emerge from the bowels of the stadium, as if coming out from a basement into the noise that only grounds like this can generate. In Dutch football, we can bring you the team news. And for Feyenoord, there are 3 changes from that 1-1 draw away at NEC last weekend. In defence, Jordan Bosch comes in at left-back in the place of Jordan Lotomba. Further forward, Thijs Krijveld moves into midfield after previously starting in defence. And crucially, with Jacob Murder unavailable, there's a reshuffle in the middle of the park. So it's Timon Wellenreuter in goal. Then Mats Jael on the right-hand side. Gernot Trauner, the Austrian, the experienced 34-year-old centre-back, alongside Tsuyoshi Watanabe in the heart of the Feyenoord defence. Jordan Bosch, the Australian-born, on the left-hand side. Krijveld has been tasked with marshalling the centre of the park alongside Usama Targaline and Luciano Valente, who we believe will operate as the attacking midfielder. Ayase Ueda with 24 goals in all competitions this season, 23 of those coming in the Eredivisie this year, will lead the line, with the 19-year-old Tobias van der Elshout on one side and Anis Haj Musa on the other. For Groningen, it's actually an unchanged side from their goalless draw against Go Ahead Eagles last weekend. And that tells you plenty about their recent stability. It's Etienne Vassen in goal, Marco Rente on the right-hand side, Timon Vlokshiel and Dies Janse. The 2 centre-backs, the Belgian Marvin Peersman is at left-back. Tige de Jonge and Tigo Lange are the 2 holding midfielders, with Joel Schroeders and Yunus Taha either side of David van der Werf, supporting the man who's been in a little bit of form for Groningen recently, Tom van Bergen. Taha, with 7 assists this season, is their most creative player, and we'll keep a keen eye on the man in the green Groningen number 10 shirt. So the equation feels fairly simple this afternoon. For Feyenoord, stop the run of draws, protect second place and that Champions League proper position. For Groningen, continue this excellent form and try and end a miserable run in this fixture that stretches back nearly 2 decades in Rotterdam. The game is underway, the teams are out, the sun is shining, and it's Eredivisie football for you this Saturday afternoon. And it's Feyenoord starting in those famous red and white half and half shirts, black shorts and black and red socks, and a ball down the left-hand side for Van den Ulshout. It's well defended by Groningen. An early moment for the Feyenoord crowd to get involved in the game. His floaters on the left-hand side. Referee today is the vastly experienced Dutch official Danny McKelly. His last Feyenoord game was back on the 22nd of March, that 1-1 draw with Ajax. Took charge of FC Twente versus Groningen back at the end of February. A 2-1 win for the hosts that day. Here's Trauner. It's a free kick for Feyenoord inside their own half of the pitch. We're going to try and keep you up to speed with all the other games across the Eredivisie. This one kicking off in its own little time slot before Heerenveen take on Fortuna Sittard later on at the early hours of the evening. Breda host Ajax, and Twente against Nijmegen. So a lot going on around those European places. A reminder that only the top two in the Eredivisie qualify for the Champions League proper. Third place will earn you a qualification spot, and then there from fourth all the way down to eighth, it's all about the Europa League and Conference League. Here are Groningen on the front foot, trying to open up a bit of space with Tahar on the right hand side. Here's the German Marco Rente. There's quite a lot of young faces in the Groningen ranks. You can of course point to Marvin Peersman. Here it is on the ball, the man wearing the number 43 shirt at 35 years old, and the goalkeeper now, Etienne Varsen at 30. Marco Rente on the right hand side is 29. Apart from that group, there's no one over the age of 23 in the starting lineup for Groningen this afternoon. That includes the likes of the 22-year-old Tom van Bergen with 8 goals this season, David van der Werf, 21 years old. Apart from that trio in the defensive unit, it's Tika de Jong at 23 years old, who's the next longest in the tooth. There's a win for PSV back on Thursday, 6-1 winners over Zwolle, and a 0-0 draw between Go Ahead Eagles and AZ on the same evening. So catching up to do for a number of players in the and teams, I should say, in the division. Here's the Wellenreuter. On ball, too much on it, so it's guided back to Varsen. Away by the goalkeeper into midfield. De Jong wanted not too much time on the ball. Delivery came in from the right hand side from Mats Dell, trying to find another opportunity to get his cross away. It's Groningen holding firm all the way back to the goalkeeper Wellenreuter. Tsuyoshi Watanabe. An awkward one, just bounced in front of Etienne Varsen. He was outside of his penalty area, so had to go with his head. The throw in for Feyenoord on the right hand side. Flicked into the penalty area, turned away from just next to the penalty spot by Timon Bloxell. Towner. On the half turn here, Valente. And that's laid off by Ueda. They come Feyenoord again. Musa. Another one volleyed clear by Marco Rente. Towner. Making his 126th appearance for Feyenoord. Hand side. Cutting in field. Onto his left was Anis Haj Musa. Operating from that right hand side, the Algerian. Former Vitesse player. Making appearance number 76 on the Rotterdam-based side today. This Janssen into midfield for De Jonge. Straight back to Janssen. It's a big afternoon of football. Not just here in the Eredivisie, but across the channel in the Premier League. Fulham 1-0 winners over Aston Villa earlier on today. Liverpool have taken the lead just before half-time against Crystal Palace. Alexander Isak with the goal. Still goalless between West Ham and Everton, as well as Wolves and Tottenham Hotspur. Arsenal face Newcastle in a game that's being billed as more crucial to their title hopes, which are starting to ebb away from them a little. Manchester City will take on Southampton in the FA Cup semi-final as well. This afternoon, all eyes at the bottom of the table. Feyenoord on their left-hand side. Winning the throw-in to 19-year-old Tobias van den Alschald. Here's Wellenreuter. Oh, missing a whole host of players today, Feyenoord. It's Feyenoord that are running in behind. The flag goes up. The crowd go up too as it's popped into the top corner, but the Groningen players knew very well that that was going to be pulled back for offside. It's tighter than it first looked. Susama Targalin on the left-hand side, who just cut in. They're applying the pressure high here, Feyenoord, and they've won it back in another good position. Here's Haj Musa. Over in the Premier League, Liverpool double their lead against Crystal Palace. Andy Robertson with a second after a fine save by former Crystal Palace Academy goalkeeper Freddie Woodman, deputising for the injured Alisson and Georgi Mamadashvili. Sarkelin over Ueda's head. Marvin Pearsman is there. Musa kicks it in play on the near side. He's done really well here, and he's Haj Musa, and a win the throw-in as well. George Schrauders across. with the final touch for Groningen. Leagues starting to wrap up across the continent. The header bounces into the penalty area. Might be a chance for Feyenoord. Oh, it is! But not how we thought it would come to them. It's a brilliant finish from Jordan Bosch. His 4th of the season from just on the edge of the box. A right-footed strike which pings into the top corner. Superb from Bosch. All came from a throw-in on the near side. And it's a header from the byline from Musa. I thought it might just drop there to Krajeveld. It is on the edge of the penalty area. Valente kept it moving. And it's a first-time finish from Bosch. Just wraps the instep round it. Ripples the back of the net. And sparks a muted but significant celebration from his manager, Robin van Persie. Dick Lukian can have few complaints. His side have been pretty much on the back foot for the opening 12 minutes of this game. It's just what the doctor ordered for Feyenoord, though. Long from Varsen. Too long. It's a pass from one goalkeeper to the other. Straight to Vellenreuter. Giving it away on the edge of their own penalty area here, Feyenoord, and maybe a chance for Groningen. Oh, he's made a real mess of that. Yunus Taha, you'd expect better from him, a player of his quality. Just skewed off the outside of his left boot. It was Luciano Valente who gave it away. First touch does him no favours for Yunus Taha. Just popped up and allowed the defender to get across. We were talking to you about the number of players unavailable to Robin van Persie. By our count, there's 10 injuries. Bart Nuvkup, Thomas Balen, Guy Anel Amadodzic, Malcolm Yang, Leo Sauer, Shaquille van Persie, Hwang In-bom, Jakob Murder and Sem Stein, all not able to play a full part today. Musa can't get on the end of that pass down the right hand side. Instead it's Janse. It's not quite clicking for Groningen. Tahar unable to keep that one in play on the right. It's Trauner. They're hunting Valente in packs, Groningen. And Persman is just caught Mats Dale there. Won't be a booking, but will be a strong word from Danny McAlee. It's just more of a clash of knees than anything else. Fullback on fullback. With Another Reuter. Ball forward towards Ueda. Who's looking for Musa. Feyenoord dominating the ball already today. With a 50% possession for the hosts as they win another foul near halfway. And at the moment, Jordan Bush will walk past it. Instead, it's Watanabe who will take the free kick. Looks for his compatriot Ueda. Good header down. Oh, Musa. Chinking his way into the penalty area. It's down the outside. Groningen making heavy weather of dealing with this. Eventually, Marvin Pearsman is fouled, and that's how they'll let the pressure off. Anis Haj Musa. 22 goals for Feyenoord since joining from Vitesse. Making appearance number 27 of the season. He's scored 8 times this year for them. He's missed a number of games though with a hamstring injury. Not being eased back into the full first team action recently. Here's Schrouders for Groningen. Pearsman. Loose ball picked up by Tika de Jonge. Can't beat the first man on that far side. Marcos Rente. Kind of drive their way through. It was Chico Lange, and the ball got away from him. Neat footwork initially to just drift past a couple of challenges. And Gunnar Trauner had to get his challenge right. Got something on it. Here's Blokshiel to Janssen. Just keeping the ball between them, the two Groningen centre halves. Space for De Jonge, right hand side, looks for the pullback. Held up by Van den Elshout, and they've won it back, Feyenoord. Here's Bosch. Referee blows the whistle for the challenge by Yunus Taha. And it's Jordan Bush to take it. Up in Groningen territory with the teenager Van den Elshout. Fauner to the retreating Dale. Flat ball, it's going to work out for Wellenreuter. I think it was a miss kick. Chance here for Feyenoord. Keeper came a long way out, took his man down, and the referee will have no choice but to point to the penalty spot and show Etienne Vassen a yellow card. I think Robin van Persie thinks that should be a red. I think he's made a genuine attempt to win the ball. VAR today's Rob Deeperink. I'm not sure the referee's mind will change on this. It's definitely onside on that left-hand side. It's Jordan Bosch who's causing all sorts of problems. It's a really clever ball from the Feyenoord captain, Timo Wellenreuter. Whether it was intended or not, I'm not entirely sure, but one thing is certain, is they really made the most of it, Feyenoord. And it's Ayase Ueda with a chance to score goal number 26 for the season, and he makes no mistake. Put it to the goalkeeper's right, and Feyenoord have taken control of the game. Marks appearance number 99 for Feyenoord, doing what he does best. A goal under pressure in the heat of the cauldron that is the Cup. It's a brilliant finish as well. It's not going to get anywhere near that, Etienne Vassen. And this suddenly feels a lot more comfortable for Robin van Persie's side. A goal scored at the halfway point in this first half. It's not what that small contingent of travelling Groningen fans have come to see tonight, this afternoon I should say. It's not what they've got accustomed to recently either. But they have a set piece in a half decent position, and Younes Taha, who can conjure things out of very little, standing over it. Could also be David van der Werf if they want the right foot. It'll be Taha who's going to take it on himself, and well, he's forced Wellenreuter into what looks a pretty smart save. Got down low to his left to push it round the post. Not sure the effort was on target from the young Moroccan. But if that kind of player, penchant for the spectacular, you know, it might just be arrowing into the bottom corner. It is. Brilliant finish, brilliant attempted finish, I should say, from Younes Taha. I want to go short. Everyone from the training ground from Groningen. Vlokshill in the centre circle. They weren't able to get it forward there, Groningen. Left-hand side is David van der Werf. Back into the mix. Well, there are still green shirts up in there. Feyenoord have cleared the danger though, and suddenly they're racing back towards their own goal. Ironic cheers for Vassen. It's cooler, a little bit calmer from the Groningen goalkeeper. Cruyff turn to step away from Ueda's press. Van Bergen just outside the Feyenoord penalty area. Shuffle to the right hand side. Now pulled back into midfield is Marco Llorente. Tries to swing it across to Peersman. Good first touch from the veteran defender. With a bit of pressure being applied. Here's Land. 30 yards from goal in the central position. Everyone behind the ball though for Feyenoord, so it's difficult to piece their way through here. Sticking to it though, Groningen. Here's Land again. To his right to find De Jong. Land. But Simon Blockschill just on the right edge of the centre circle. Left-footed ball up into the penalty area. The header goes backwards from Shoulders it was, who had taken up a position on the edge of the penalty area. It's a foul though by Rente. For a moment, Groningen threatening to build a little bit of pressure. Won by Wellenreuter. Vassen, make sure that stays in play as it flicked off the back of Rente's head. Blockschill. Not much movement in front of him. All there is De Jong tries to drive forward. Doing their best to commit plenty of bodies in there. Just pops out to the edge of the penalty area. And there's another wild effort from Yunus Taha. Went for the spectacular. It's into the crowd behind Wellenreuter's goal. Well, it's set up nice for him outside the penalty area, Taha, and he does have it in his locker to be able to produce that sort of finish. He's leaning back as he struck it. In the 30th minute, De Kalk, Groningen yet to really cause Timon Wellenreuter any problems. I suspect Robin van Persie will be fairly pleased with what he's seen from his side thus far. His two-goal cushion, the former Arsenal and Manchester United striker. He's decided to just take a little bit of respite from the sun, sat in the dugout at the moment. It's funny this time of year, it comes with such mixed feelings, the improvement in the weather, especially in Europe. 20 odd degrees in England, it's not far off that in the Netherlands at the moment, and a bit of a heat wave across northern parts of the continent. While we certainly enjoy the sun shining and the wonderful conditions, not just to watch football but for the players to play it as well. Also signals that the football season is coming to an end shortly. It's that time of the year where finals are played, silverware is lifted. Who knows what might be on the cards for a few clubs across Europe. There's Janssen. Blockschill. Janssen. Blockschill. Looking for Van der Werf. Trauner away. Played by Dale. He's Kluivert. Now, and his Haj Musa on the right-hand side. Cliveld across the face of goal, a decent ball towards Ueda, just a little bit too high. And it was Valente with the delivery. Bosch, who won the corner. Musa, made off by Valente. Time on the edge of the box. Got the shot away. Ueda. There's Pearsman. Looking for Tom van Bergen. Strong sliding challenge from Thijs Cliveld. Blockshill. Janssen. Blockshill in the centre circle. Land. Janssen. Looks to slide it in behind. There's Tail to get across and intercept that one. Land. He's looked for options a few times now. Will reluctantly play it backwards. Janssen. Blockshill finds Tika de Jong. Rente's ball closed down. There's Schrouders trying to get it in. Blockshill. Rente in towards the near post, where it's turned behind by Tsuyoshi Watanabe. It's taken them a while. It's taken them trailing by 2 goals, Groningen, to start to show their teeth. Ball by Taha towards the back post. Just too hot to handle for Tom van Bergen. A productive season for the 22-year-old Dutchman. Hasn't scored since the end of March against RZ in that 3-0 win. Assist against Telstar, goalless against Go Ahead Eagles in that 0-0 draw last time out. He's over a month without a goal, but with 8 so far this season, he is the club's top scorer. Here he is buzzing around to Gernot Schwauner again. Gets in the way of the clearance. Jordan Bosch on the left-hand side to take the throw-in for Feyenoord. Away his header, he lost sight of it. Groningen have tracked it down. Land. Rente. De Jong. Janssen. Left-footed ball into the penalty area. And Max Dale got the shout from his colleagues, and he could just duck under the flight of that one. If you're only just joining us, it's Feyenoord that lead by 2-0. Screamer from Jordan Bosch, added to by Ayase away from the spot. Penalty conceded by the Groningen goalkeeper Etienne Vassen. Block shot. Breaking things up on the edge of his box. Got time in possession for a 21-year-old defender. De Jong. Taha. Slight challenge came in from Tigger de Jong. Feyenoord fans think that was a foul, but Danny McKelly disagrees. He's going to go and check on Luciano Valente. Seemed a fair enough tackle to me. Danny McKelly indicates that he felt that he won the ball. Here comes Bosch. Van den Elshout. Trauner in the centre circle. Dale. Now Haj Musa. Valente looked for the ball in field. Pearsman was in the way and can't prevent it from going out of play for a final throw. Dale with the cutback. Towards the 6-yard line. It's turned away by Blokshill. Pearsman racing after it down the left-hand side. No, Watanabe sliding in. It's fine work by Musa to set up the chance of the cutback. And Groningen just hand possession straight back to Feyenoord. On clearance from Vassen. Comes up in the gloves of Vellenreiter. Saw Jordan Bosch getting back. Educates himself from a sticky little patch there to find Tobias van den Elshout. It's been the free kick challenged by Marco Rente, deemed foul by Danny McKelly. It's Larsen. Excuse me. And Vellenreiter with the long ball forward. Nice touch off of Blokshill. With Watanabe. Vellenreiter just outside his penalty area. Trauner. Look sharp here, Feyenoord, moving the ball quickly when they keep it. But, getting back just as quick when they lose it to make it difficult for Groningen. Here's Bosch again, all the way across the 6-yard line. Pearsman has to be careful. He's got Hadj Musa lurking. This is all of his experience there, the Belgian defender. Valente, right of centre, inside the Groningen half of the pitch. Bosch. And they'll shoot there. Back alongside the defenders. It's Targaline, 23-year-old Moroccan. Fauner. It's a rather aimless ball, straight back to Blockshill on the edge of the centre circle. Now Lund. Schrouders finds Pearsman. Janssen. Blockshill towards the edge of the box. A bit of a heavy touch by Van den Elschalt. Wader who's won it back. And Van den Elschalt finds Targaline on the left-hand side. Not the best of decisions in the end. Attempted back heel around the corner. Back with Groningen. And Marvin Pearsman here. The 2 goals have really taken all the sting out of this game. Groningen struggling to make an impact. Feyenoord happy with their 2-goal lead. As half-time beckons. Valente for Deal. Valente. Watanabe, left-hand side of defence. Vellenreuter. To play it straight through the middle of the park to Yase Ueda. He was fouled by Timon Blockshill. A couple of familiar faces in today. Dick Advocat watching on here. Teams that he managed across his time, few that he didn't really. Playing on one of them, former Netherlands international manager Curaçao boss until very recently. Resigned his position in February due to his daughter's health concerns after leading them to historic qualification for the World Cup. Come Feyenoord again. And Musa. He felt he was shoved there by Marvin Pearsman. So did the Cup crowd. The referee not interested as we move into a minute of added time. with Wellenreuter. Off on that left-hand side by Van der Nelschalt. Nice touch of a Groningen player. Arnold with the throw-in. But Danny Makale has seen enough. Build as a game for Feyenoord to finally take charge of after 3 consecutive draws in the Eredivisie had left them looking over their shoulder. Well, Jordan Bosch certainly took charge of it with a brilliant effort to open the scoring. A curling finish that beat Etienne Vassen all ends up. And it was the other goalkeeper, Timon Wellenreuter, who split Groningen open with a low ball drilled straight through the heart of the Groningen midfield. He found Luciano Valente, who was then taken down by Etienne Vassen as he made his way into the penalty area. And Ayase Uede made no mistake for his 24th Eredivisie goal of the season. Groningen struggled to really make inroads. Feyenoord will be much happier with what they've produced today. Half time to count. And it's Feyenoord 2, Groningen 0. Welcome back to the Kalp. It's been a good day for Feyenoord so far. Brilliant day for Jordan Boss. What a brilliant finish it was to open the scoring early in the first half. And Timon Vellenreuter's through ball, whether he meant it or not, through to Luciano Valente. Saw the Italian taken down by Etienne Vassen. And the penalty converted by Ayase Ueda to make it 2-0 to Feyenoord at the break and the start of this second half. Just waiting for the final members of the Groningen technical team to wander across the pitch and take their place in the dugout. The referee's happy now. We will get back underway in this Eredivisie clash. It's Groningen playing from left to right, Feyenoord from right to left. There hasn't really been much to cheer about quarters this afternoon. Above them in the European places. Maybe sneak into one of those Europa Conference League slots. At least a playoff position. So far, there's been scant encouragement or signs of life. We'll see if that changes in this second half. Here's Marvin Piersman for Groningen. There seem to be any changes at the break for either of the two sides. Juggling on the edge of the penalty area, Tigger Younger. I'm going to strike from Marco Rente, which comes straight off the Feyenoord defender in front of him. Piersman, left-hand side. Stepping forward goes Di Janset towards the back post. Rente tries the volley from the tight angle. It's over the crossbar from the Groningen defender and captain. It's the master plan from Dick Lukian at half-time. Would have got the message across to his charges at the break. Any kind of positive result will put a little bit of pressure on Heerenveen as they face Fortuna Sittard in around an hour and 10 minutes time. A win would see them leapfrog both Heerenveen and Utrecht. Feyenoord have picked it off though in the middle of the pitch. Gernot Trauner towards the back post. Ayase Ueda, brilliant bit of close control with his chest, but the volley to follow it up, not the quality that we know he can produce. It's great stuff from Trauner in the middle initially to win it back and then skip past the covering defender. Valente's ball that found Ayase Ueda. A simple enough save for Etienne Vassen, who is the only man on a yellow card so far this afternoon for that challenge that conceded the penalty. Other than that, it's a game that's been played in the right spirit. A bit sloppy in the opening exchange of this second half, though. Vellenreuter's pass skews off of Valente's shin. Racing forward again now, Feyenoord. Here is Valente. He's got a man over. If he can slot it through. Different idea to Anis Hadj Musa. But Kuyveld as well, making decent ground alongside him. To remind you of those lineups, it's Etienne Vassen in goal for Groningen. Marvin Persman at left back, Marco Rente on the right hand side, Janssen and Blokshiel, the two centre backs. Land and De Jonge, the holding midfielders. Schrouders and Zaha either side of David van der Werf, who is trying to offer the ammunition to Tom van Bergen. For the Feyenoord, Van Persie, 3 changes to his side today. Timon Villenreuter in goal, Max Dale on the right hand side, Jordan Bosch the goal scorer on the left. Gernot Trauner joining Tsuyoshi Watanabe in the heart of defence. Musa and Van den Elshoot, the two wingers, Kuyveld, Targelin and Valente in the middle of the park, Ueda leading the line. We're trying to keep you up to speed with scores around the grounds as well. Not just here in the Eredivisie, there's some big games going on across in the Premier League. But first, we'll bring you back down to De Kalp, as that's a hefty challenge on Anis Haj Musa, one that Danny McKelly wants to have a word with Marco Rente about. Just a bit of a stabbing motion with the studs. Looks like it'll just be a talking to for now. Fadis Janssen, excuse me. After Fulham's 1-0 win over Aston Villa in the early kick-off in the Premier League, it's West Ham 1, Everton 0. That's a massive scoreline at the base of the Premier League table. Still goalless between Wolves and Tottenham at Molineux. To put that into perspective, Tottenham in the final relegation place in 18th, West Ham currently in 17th. A win for West Ham United at the London Stadium against Everton would open up a 4-point gap to Spurs if it stays on level pegging between Wolves and Tottenham. Challenge is starting to fly a bit harder here at De Kalp. And Feyenoord on the end of the majority of them. As Groningen are trying to fight their way back into some sort of position in this game. There's a bit of space on the left-hand side now. And they get the ball into the penalty area, looking for Van der Werf. There's Tika de Jong. Van der Werf, deflection. It was off of his own teammate. So that's out of play for a Feyenoord goal kick. Well detected. It's not the most rambunctious of matches at De Kalp at the moment. Things could change though. One goal really changed the atmosphere in the ground. There's a nervous energy pre-kick-off after those disappointing string of results. Chance here on the edge of the box. Valente. Musa. Picks it up in the face of the penalty area. Past Pearsman. Deflection off the fullback. And then off Janssen. Carries it behind for a corner. Had to react there. Dies Janssen. Delivery will come in from the left-hand side. It's an in-swinger all the way over the top of the 6-yard box and had a play on the other side. Goal kick taken quickly, hurriedly you might say. And that's handed possession back to Feyenoord inside their own half of the pitch. It's Watanabe who was on his way back. Won the header in midfield. Temper's just starting to fray out there. Final supporters spotted a little bit of tugging between Gernot Trauner and Marvin Pearsman. Groningen will try and work it through the middle. Started out on the right-hand side with Rente. Bloxiel to Schrouders. Better from Groningen in the second half. Schrouders. He's going to move between the lines of Pearsman. Van Bergen. The attempted flick to steer it back in towards the Belgians' path. Feyenoord get it away. There's been huge developments at the foot of the Premier League table. As Palhinha has opened the scoring for Spurs at Molineux, which will do Tottenham a world of good. And there's also been an equaliser at the London Stadium. Kiernan Dewsbury Hall levelling things up 2 minutes from time. So that 4-point gap we were talking about seen Tottenham move out of the bottom three. Still time for another twist. Season. Coming together outside the penalty area. We've seen a few bodies strewn across the edge of the box. We're going to see the first changes of the evening, the afternoon I should say, very shortly. It's over Trauner's head, balled by Watanabe from not shy of the halfway line, too far away from the halfway line I should say. Jordan Bosch unable to escape. The reinforcements are coming soon. For Feyenoord at least. Bringing news of those as and when they happen, but for the time being, they're looking for a third Feyenoord. Van Bergen pokes it free to Tika de Jong. Pearsman. Blockshill, right hand side of the centre circle. Forward to Rente. As the supporters Schrouders alongside him. Inside it goes though to De Jong. Lund. Try to thread the needle. Back to De Jong. Feyenoord feel there's a chance to counter-attack here. Their fans do at least. They've been just held up near halfway as Groningen got numbers back. Osama Targaline moving the ball towards that right-hand side, which has proved to be so profitable for them this afternoon. All over the top, Ueda. I think he was onside. The pass just overhit towards him. Past the hour mark at De Kalp. Here's Blockshill. Reaching over the halfway line, slightly right of centre, shoulder to shoulder. Van Bergen and Trauner. The Austrian goes down, and the free kick goes Feyenoord's way. Well, here come a couple of changes, and Gerald Trauner is the first who is going to walk off. Jordan Bosch is as well. We're going to see Jeremiah Saint-Just, joined from Sporting in January on a free transfer, and Bosch will be replaced by the man he replaced. Brilliant goal today for Jordan Bosch. Will be replaced by the Swiss Jordan Lutomba. Bounces off Pearsman. Throwing out on that right hand side. First involvement for Mutomba. Vassen for Blockshill. By Rente into the penalty area with Tika de Jong. Janser is down. It was a fairly hefty collision. Hell, I can bring you more news from the Premier League yet again, and they've reversed places again, West Ham and Tottenham. Callum Wilson with a goal in added time to give West Ham United the lead. That means Spurs are back in the bottom three. Into added time across the Premier League in those 3 o'clock kickoffs. Still Liverpool 2, Crystal Palace 1. Daniel Munoz pulling one back, taking advantage of a Freddie Woodman injury. West Ham 2, Everton 1 and Wolves 0, Tottenham 1 at the moment at Molineux. It's the only game in the Eredivisie at the moment. Feyenoord 2, Groningen 0. I think Janssen hurt himself. Apologies, it's Javaro Reed who has replaced Jordan Boss. This might be the end of the afternoon for Diez Janssen, you know. He's heading towards the sidelines, might be just temporarily. Sliding in for the challenge, and that was the issue. With a twist of a knee. Towards the near post, pushed away by Vassen. Here's Tarkaleen. So who's left to find Watanabe? Now Van den Elshout. Clever turn. Edge of the penalty area. Brilliant finish from Ayase Ueda. Etienne Vassen rooted to the spot. And Feyenoord surely have sealed all 3 points now. It was a brilliant turn from Ayase Ueda. He's closing in on 30 goals for the season now, you know. Opened his body up, a little dip of the shoulder, and suddenly had the goal at his mercy. Etienne Vassen could do little more than watch on helplessly as Ueda guided that into the bottom corner. With slightly more than 20 minutes left to play, Feyenoord make it 3-0. A second of the day for their top scorer. And that's the signal for Groningen to start to make a couple of changes themselves. Off goes Yunus Taha. The most creative player this season with 7 assists. Not been at his best today, the 23-year-old Moroccan. And he cuts a bit of a frustrated figure in that away dugout down below us. Groningen off the free kick inside the PSV half of the pitch, it was Tom van Bergen fouled. Rente in. Mr. Janssen dispossessed, and he's Haj Musa gets away down the right hand side. The change was Ryan Metu came on to replace Yunus Taha. 17-year-old forward in for a chance. He's fifth appearance of the season. Started to make his mark at the start of the year. So he was included in matchday squads against Heerenveen from January. Made his debut versus PSV and 4 consecutive appearances before sitting out the last 4 games for Groningen. Feeling perhaps potentially it's time for Dick Lukian to protect some of his most important players. Here's Pearsman. Tom van Bergen. Support arriving in the form of the new man Metu. Here's Schroeders. Rente, the German. Gonna win the throw-in. Full-time whistle starting in the Premier League. Tottenham with a win away at Wolverhampton Wanderers. And unfortunately, in that relegation battle, West Ham go 2 points clear of Spurs with a 2-1 win at the London Stadium over Everton. That's a massive result for them. As the weeks go on, you start to think a little more. Tottenham could really go down. They now have 4 games to save themselves. And you know what? They're not easy. A visit to Villa Park next weekend. A Monday night clash with Leeds at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. A visit to managerless Chelsea on the 17th of May before finishing off their Premier League season against Everton. To look at the teams around them as well and their fixture list. You'd say West Ham too have a tricky set of fixtures to round off their year. A visit to Brentford next weekend. Brentford are trying to stay in the European mix. And then Arsenal, the visitors to the London Stadium the following week. Trip to the North East to face Newcastle before finishing their season against Leeds United. Changes though for Feyenoord at De Kuip. And I preemptively announced his inclusion. Jordan Lutomba comes on to replace Luciano Valente. And Tsuyoshi, Watanabe walks off, and on comes Raheem Sterling. Also a change for Groningen in there too. As David van der Werf has been replaced by the Icelandic international Brynjolfur Dari Willemsen. This goal for the club came back in December. The concern on the Feyenoord bench at the moment is Watanabe is having that leg strapped up with a bunch of ice on his calf. I think that'll see Javaro Reed move across into central defence with the new man Latomba in his more conventional position at fullback. My apologies, it wasn't Luciano Valente who departed, but Tobias van den Elschow. .14 minutes remaining. The game over really as a contest. I suspect Groningen's attentions will probably turn to the challenges yet to come. It's a foul in the middle of the park. Tugged back on Ueda, was it? By Tiemann Blockshil. It was. He was just spun by Yase Ueda. They'll have more chances to try and play their way into European contention. Groningen might need to start looking over their shoulder though. Sparta Rotterdam level on points with them. Mixed bag of fixtures. They will face Excelsior. Currently sit in that relegation qualification place in 16th. Next weekend before a trip to hosting Nijmegen and then Heracles, who are all but relegated at the moment. The hosts on their final day. There's a lot to play for across the league. Surprise package, probably NEC, you know. Sitting in that third position. Probably disappointed with the result here at Dikau. Got a chance to, of course, make their own statement a little bit later on tonight. A real six-pointer there as well, away at Twente. It's Tigger Land for Groningen. Pearsman. Acrobatic attempt from the edge of the penalty area by Willemsen. It's over the crossbar. It's actually Ryan Netu, a teenager, from the edge of the box. And a change here for the visitors. Nice, off goes Satika de Jong. his replacement, wearing the number 7 shirt, Travis Hernes. The 20-year-old Norwegian. Hello from Newcastle United. The crowd has started to allay every single Feyenoord pass. Here's Sterling. Just Reed down the left-hand side. Dropping into their own penalty area. Feyenoord. There's Vellenreuter. Piersman takes it down inside his own half of the pitch. Well, it's sort of worked back to Vassen. Be able to change shortly. Robin van Persie preparing his final switch of the afternoon, and it's Gonçalo Borges. The summer signing from Porto. It's going to come on. 2 league goals this season. This one coming against Twente on the 21st of December. It's an exciting option for them, 25 years old. First time away from Porto when he made the switch. Former Portugal under-21 international. He's called up to the senior squad back in 2018, but never made an appearance. And he's going to replace Thijs Kluivert. So rather sacrificing a defensive player for something a little bit more ambitious, you might say, in Gonçalo Borges. Much more of a creator than a disruptor. Has to play in wide areas. Sterling trying to slip that inside. So could find a teammate. Sets Groningen wants to conjure something up. Attempted through ball by Hennes on the edge of the penalty area, won't reach its target. So Feyenoord win it back. That's long for Raheem Sterling. Chops inside onto his right, Sterling. Borges. Saint-Just. Deal on the right hand side of the defence. Targaline to Deal. Targaline again. Delicate ball down the touchline. Dispossessed on the edge of the penalty area. Maybe a chance for Groningen. And Tom van Bergen with the tap in into an open net as Feyenoord look for the whistle. It was Usama Targaline on the edge of the penalty area. Just dawdled on the ball a little bit there. Brynjolfur Willemsen wins the ball. He felt cleanly. Targaline certainly disagrees. He was unselfish in teeing it up for Tom van Bergen for his 9th goal of the season. Usama Targaline felt that he was stepped on there, and you can understand it having looked at the replay. Rod Deeperink, the video assistant referee, is just going to bring the referee's attention to that. Danny McKelly listening to the advice of the video assistant referee. Sure, you know, I've been seeing it a second time. It does look like Targaline almost kicks the back of Willemsen, and that's why the goal's going to stand. Confirmation, Groningen on the score sheet. Feyenoord's clean sheet disappears. Reuter, the long ball downfield. Enes. Saint-Just. Here's Chivero Reid. And a ball over the top, and one for Sterling to chase. Maybe a chance to restore their 3-goal cushion. Sterling bides his time. Sterling deflected away by Dies Janse. He was trying to find that top corner, Raheem Sterling. Joined as a free agent in February. This is his 7th appearance of the season. It's short from Musa. To Ueda. Final look to hold it near the corner flag. Pearceman not impressed. Ueda battling away there. And Groningen will get the free kick. Or the goal kick, rather. As we're into the 90th minute now. The result has been in no doubt for quite a while, but margin of victory could be called into question these final few moments. Here's Rente. Little dip of the shoulder, gets past Sterling. There's the pullback into the penalty area where Williamson keeps it moving. Hernes. Travis Hernes. Back towards halfway. Blockshield. Di Jansen. A long way out. Tried the spectacular effort. And that's wide of Feyenoord's goal. And the fourth official holds 3 minutes aloft. A sunny day in Rotterdam. But the shine just taken a little bit off this wind for Feyenoord. Two on Vellenreuter. Actually launches that into Groningen territory. Final hope it stays. Go to the final whistle. Doing well to make sure it does here. Noeda upended. Janssen not impressed with what he sees as a little bit of play acting. On the ball over the top this time, not close enough for Sterling for him to chase. Janssen. Land. Metu. Couple of step overs. Starting to drift in field. Finds Schwalders. Hernes. For Rente. Schwalders slings one in there. Too much on the delivery. The goal kick for Groningen. Yes, we are now seconds away from the full-time whistle. Long from Vellenreuter. Had a play on the near side. Groningen with the throw in. Rente. Rente. Back to Janssen. Well, Danny McKelly blows the full-time whistle. Turned into a very good afternoon for Feyenoord. Jordan Bosch got things rolling early with a lovely curler from the edge of the box. Ayase Ueda added one for the penalty spot before the break. And when he spun brilliantly and finished in the second half, that was that really. Tom van Berken added a controversial consolation for Groningen, but it couldn't prevent Feyenoord from picking up a crucial 3 points, which will see them breathe a little bit easier in second place. For all the concern around draws and drop points coming into the afternoon, Feyenoord found exactly what they needed. A comfortable win, a bit of space to relax in that race for Europe, and perhaps a reminder that life becomes a lot simpler when you stop leaving it until the 97th minute. For FC Groningen, the long wait goes on. Still no win here at De Kuip since 2007, and a good chance that it will be 20 years before they finally taste victory here again. On this evidence, they may be tired of hearing that statistic almost as much as we are of saying it. Full time at the Kalp, and it's finished. Final 3, FC Groningen.